and the trigger guard. For those of you who are planning on carrying it in your purse, if you're a female, be really careful, because if a piece of chapstick or something else, a pen, gets stuck in there and it pulls the trigger back, it's going to shoot a round out. It's going to discharge. You don't want an accidental discharge where it can cause harm to yourself or someone else, because it doesn't have a safety. I carry this on the inside of my waistband. It's easy for me to get to, and I feel comfortable with that. Get yourself also a good holster for it. Now, in regards to the actual sights of the gun, it comes basically just like you see from Glock with these sights. For me, they are extremely accurate. I like them a ton. I haven't had night sights put on them, you know, tritium night sights. That's something that I do plan on doing, but I just haven't gotten around to it. The reason why, honestly, when I carry this, I carry it with me during summertime, during wintertime, whatnot. It doesn't make a difference. I carry it when I'm going to dinner, to the movie theaters. I feel extremely comfortable with this gun. I would even say more comfortable than I feel like with the Smith & Wesson that I own, or the smaller 380s, because it has more rounds that are in the magazine, and it's capable of shooting extremely accurate at longer distances. So, you know, depending on if you're at dinner or at the movies and a defensive situation occurs where you need to defend yourself, self-defense, I feel very confident carrying this handgun. But nothing is going to instill more confidence in you than practicing with that weapon systems and becoming proficient in it. So when choosing a handgun, whether it be a 380 or a 9 or a 40, practice is going to basically, like I said, make perfect. But you want to consider those things, you know. Where do I plan on carrying this weapon system with me? Is it going to be, you know, when I'm out to dinner, like I said, or is it going to be when I carry something to the movie theaters? Am I going to be able to feel confident that if I was faced with a life-threatening situation, in self-defense situation, could I engage that target and acquire, you know, that target and put rounds where they need to be, instead of where they don't need to go? Like I've said, target acquisition is huge, and I'll reiterate for those of you that don't know what that is. It's basically a threat versus non-threat, being able to differentiate between a threat and non-threat. And in my previous videos, I've gone over what I do as far as practice goes, and that is, you know, I'll go to the range, I'll simulate situations, self-defense situations. I'll put up targets, paper targets of silhouettes that you can buy anywhere, of the individuals holding the guns or the knives, and then I'll have silhouettes of just plain paper with no knives on the picture, no guns, nothing. And I'll differentiate between a threat and a non-threat, only engaging the threats. So basically, when I'm in a situation, I don't actually put rounds into everything. I only put rounds into the threats. The last thing you want is to fire at someone that's not a threat. That's the last thing you want. You only want to engage the threat itself. But there are so many components into being proficient with your handgun and spending countless hours at the range. It comes down, guys, as simple as this. If you're going to be concealed carry, obviously get your concealed carry permit in whatever state you live. Also, it comes to, you know, the proper holster, where the holster is placed, whether it's the ankle, whether it's the hip, how easy can you get to it, the grip that you get on your gun, does it fit your hand, can you get a good grip on it, sight picture, sight alignment, trigger pull, stance, you know, positioning of your hands on the actual gun. You want to cover as much surface area on the actual weapon system as possible to keep as much control over it. Target acquisition, all these things are huge in actually achieving an accurate shot and being able to engage that threat in a self-defense situation, and engage that threat and put multiple rounds towards that threat if need be. So aside from picking the right gun, you need to be proficient in whatever gun you pick. But this weapon has been safety checked. There are no rounds in it. Now, as far as how easy the slide release moves forward, let me show you. Extremely easy. Very easy. Now, you may be asking yourself, hey, you know, can I get accessories for this handgun? You'll notice there's no railing system here, unlike you see on the larger ones that Glock makes. So, for something like this, a Crimson Trace is an option for you if you want a laser. I think lasers are worthless. I've told you this before in my videos before. In my opinion, lasers are worthless unless you are specifically trained in your line of work, whether it be military or law enforcement or whatever it may be. Lasers to me are worthless in a self-defense situation, which is usually going to happen within 3 to 12 feet. You're not going to have time to engage that laser, and you don't want to become reliant on a laser system. You want to become reliant on your front sight and your sights on your handgun. And that goes the same thing for my video that I posted before on the Smith & Wesson bodyguard. Become reliant on your sights that the gun comes with. Do not become reliant on the laser system trying to find that red dot, because it takes more time. It's not point and shoot. You have to find the dot on the target, and that could cost you a lot of time, and that could mean the difference between saving your life, saving the life of a loved one, saving the life of someone in the public that's, you know, in a bad situation. So I'm just not a fan in general of laser systems whatsoever, as you can tell. But as far as accessories go, you can get a Crimson Trace laser, and there are different options. Ones that actually attach to the grip of the gun, and you know, lasers mounted on the side. You can do other ones where you can have them actually up at the top here, but you know, they're a couple $100. I don't think they're worth it. Get yourself some good night sights, and you should be good to go if you're worried about not being able to see your sights at night and engaging a threat. Like I said before, guys, when it comes down to it, it's repetition, 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 and you're going to practice and you're going to use what you practice. In a bad situation, you're going to go back to what's familiar, and if you practice enough, you're going to go back to muscle memory, and that's going to be key. It's going to be basically, like I said, point and shoot, but if you practice enough, that point and shoot is going to be extremely accurate and proficient. Now, this does shoot, like I said, the 9mm round, and you do get 3 magazines. I personally carry hollow points in my magazines. I carry the hollow point. I don't carry full metal jackets just because I think that they have a little bit of more penetration power, and the last thing I want is the round to go through that threat or that target into an area or something that I don't want it to go into. With a hollow point, I feel more confident that that round will stop within that threat or that target and not go past it. And that's what I carried when I was in law enforcement doing patrol. That's what I feel comfortable with. And so that's going to be totally up to you guys as far as what options you go with ammo, what brand, the whole works. As far as the Glock goes, I absolutely love this gun. I think this gun is awesome. I think it's phenomenal for concealed carry. Everything that Glock has done, from the finish to the gun, it's extremely durable, it's extremely reliable. Like I said, I have never had an issue with my Glock at all. So that is something in itself to consider. The drawbacks. You're going to be asking yourself, well, what are some of the drawbacks in regards to this weapon system compared to a 380? Well, I'll tell you right now, it's heavier. It's a lot heavier than my Smith & Wesson. So I know that it's on my side. It's heavier. Yes, it's a little bit more uncomfortable to carry with me for long periods of time. So those are some of the drawbacks. It's wider, so it's going to be a little bit more noticeable. You're going to have to be careful as far as what clothing you pick to have with this weapon system. You're not going to be able to probably get away with khaki shorts and a muscle tee or a t-shirt that's fairly up, you know, snug up to your body. You're not going to probably be able to get away with that because it is going to show. Now, if you get yourself a good leather holster inside the waistband, you're going to be able to hide this weapon system pretty well for concealed carry. So just keep in mind, guys, it is heavier. It is way thicker than the Smith & Wesson or the LCPs or those smaller 380 handguns or weapon systems that you see out there. But there are some benefits also behind this gun itself, this weapon system. And I've mentioned those in my video. I will be doing a video in regards to how accurate this weapon system is in comparison to the Smith & Wesson 380 Bodyguard MP that I own, so that you can kind of see how accurate the two weapon systems are in comparison to one another. But like I said, that's going to be a lot on the shooter, on the individual shooting downrange at those targets for practice, is how proficient you become with that. You can be very proficient in almost anything you carry if you put enough time into it. You know, you can master that weapon system. But I will do a video on that a little bit later, and I also do plan on doing just a side-by-side comparison in regards to size between the Smith & Wesson 380 Bodyguard MP and the actual Glock 26 Gen 4 9mm. So I'll do that video a little bit later. I appreciate you guys taking the time to look at my video. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them below and I'll get back to you. Thank you.